my weekly recurring webinar. This is actually the 10th session of my financial literacy lunch bite. It's the first time I'm going on Facebook Live. So for those who are watching on Facebook Live, welcome. So I'm going to share a little bit about the structure of how I do this 30 minutes webinar. This is weekly recurring. It occurs every Wednesday from 1:30 to 2 p.m. The objective is to catch the lunch crowd, where employees, where they have 30 minutes of their time to just catch a little bit of finance topics during this 30 minutes. So the intention is to work on, to share about financial literacy, financial topics, one topic a week. So the topic for this week is financial management for couples, money management for couples. But before that, I'm going to share a little bit of the structure. I have a Q&A session at the end. So feel free to comment, feedback, ask questions. I will come back to your comments towards the end. And yeah, and for those who are familiar with my work, my work is actually NLP based, so it's neuro-linguistic programming. NLP stands for neuro-linguistic programming, and it identifies patterns and programs in our everyday life. So one of the tools that we use is we ask a lot of questions. So we ask a lot of very good questions. To get to the deeper root cause of any issues that we are looking at. So for today, and also for you to make good use of your time with me, this 30 minutes for those who are watching, this is a 30 minutes webinar, yes. So for you to make good use of your time, I will encourage you to take the time to focus and to take note of the questions that I ask. Along the way, I will be asking lots of questions, and the intention is to trigger thoughts and for you to apply whatever, all the information that I'm going to share into your life. Think about how you can implement the things that I share into your life. Think about how it affects you, how it applies to you in your own life as well. So let me share my screen. I have prepared slides for this. Let me share, this. Okay, so I hope you can see the screen. If not, just, let me know. So this is the 10th session for my financial literacy lunch bite session. And with every session, I have one particular slide that I always share with, right? This is the one main point that I always have in every slide. I saw someone joining me on Zoom. So just for information, I'm broadcasting this live on Facebook through Zoom. So for those who are on Zoom with me, feel free to key in any comments and chat, and I can look at it. For those who are on Facebook Live, the comments, I can only look at it after the during Q&A session, because I am sharing my screen. So it will take a while, for me to look at it. Hello, thank you for joining me. Yes. So, okay. So this is the screen that I always have, when this is the slide that I always have in my webinars. So let me share, just take 30 seconds to share about this slide. So this is about where we are from point A to where we want to be. So point A is where we are at this point in time. And oh, I think I'm having issues streaming to Facebook, but we'll sort it out later. So so point A is where we are right now, and point B is where we want to be. So the main point that I always want to emphasize is from point A to point B is never a straight line. And the main point I want to emphasize is about making adjustments along the way. So think about where is the point B, and also think about where you are at now with regards to your point B. I'll share a little bit more on it later, but take note that the key thing you want to do is to be flexible enough to make adjustments. You know, in NLP, we have this presupposition, this assumption that says, you know, the person with the most flexibility controls the situation, right? So in any situation that you are in, be flexible enough to adapt. Be in a position where you respond instead of react to the situation, and you will find a way out. You know, I always say this, for every problem that you face, for every situation that you are in, there are 10,000 solutions. Yeah, that's right. There are 10,000 solutions. There can be 10,000 solutions. We just need to be open to take note and to notice what's coming up and to look at alternatives, to be open to look at options and alternatives, right? Yeah. So moving on, this is our topic for today, money management for couples. So why did I decide on this topic for today? This actually came up through my sessions with my clients. I have been noticing that I have quite a lot of clients who are actually couples, and between them there are a lot of money issues. They are good and bad. I'll share about it. You know, today I'm going to focus on two different ends of the spectrum, so that you get a sense of how couples can complement each other when it comes to money management, and what are the things that they need to take note of when it comes to management as well. So first of all, let me introduce this thing called the Wheel of Life. I'm not sure whether you're familiar with it, but in any case, let me go through it. You know, the Wheel of Life comprises of 6 main sectors in our life. So one of it is obviously finance, money, which I'm going to focus on. Other areas are areas like health, career, family relationships, spiritual and personal growth, and education. So obviously, you know, this being financial literacy lunch bite session, obviously I will be focusing on the money side of things. So this is what I will be focusing on. So in my interaction with my clients, with couples, when I work with them with regards to cash flow and money, so there are a common occurrence, and yeah, where a lot of times money and relationships are very much go in tandem. They are very much close to each other. So today I'm going to talk about how relationships affect money management, and how what are the things that you can do to improve, you know, especially for money management when it comes to couples. So today I'm going to share a few stories. You know, when it comes to my client stories, all my sessions with my clients are private and confidential. So yes, and all the names are changed. So what I'll do is just provide examples, and these are common examples. They are not specific to any particular client. I purposely select these 3 examples because they are common amongst a lot of clients that I'm working with. So first of all, let me share the good part of it. Remember, I was telling you earlier that I'm going to share 2 different ends of the spectrum for money management. So when it comes to couples, there are couples whose character, firstly, remember that everyone is wired differently. So there are couples whose character, whose money management style actually complement each other. Like, for example, I have this good friend where I'm going to share her story. I'm share her name later because she shared about it. She was in one of my money mindset interviews, and she actually shared about this story between her and her husband, where her husband is very savvy in finance, very good with numbers, very detailed, and you know, is very good at managing their finances, and that's good. And for her, she's actually a noob when it comes to finance. So she doesn't really know what to do, what's going on. So her husband actually helped her to implement processes, put the structure in place so that she doesn't even have to think twice about it. And she can straight away implement and get the results that she wants. So that's one example. So if you're interested in finding out more, go and look for Denise Wong and the Money Mindset interview. I believe is the second or the third episode where, you know, she talks about how her husband helps her to set up the streams of structure and, you know, to help her to work towards the financial goal that she wants. So that is one example of couples that complement each other when it comes to finances. And on the other end of the spectrum, there are couples who need some help. I wouldn't say are not good at it, but you know, they need some help in looking at their family finances. Again, I have three examples for this. First example that I commonly see is that, you know, the husband, so this is the next slide for it, and it almost inevitably causes quarrels and conflicts within the family because there's no alignment, there's lack of alignment within the family with regards to couples managing their money. And the first example that I have is that is very common, where he, being the sole breadwinner of the family, he takes on the responsibility to be the sole breadwinner. He takes care of all the income. He's responsible. He feels responsible, and at times, sometimes a bit not able to cope with all the responsibilities that is coming onto him. Whereas she, the wife, on the other hand, feels restricted in her spending, in her expenses, because, and this is very applicable to especially wives who have been working before they get married and probably stay at home to take care of kids and stuff like that. You know, when one is earning and they spend what they earn, they usually have that sense of autonomy, have the sense of freedom to be able to, you know, to spend whatever that they earn. And they feel that, and that's okay. They feel that they have earned it, and that's okay. But once they start to rely on their husband for household, family stuff, and take money from the husband, sometimes they feel, if they're not kept in the loop of things, sometimes they feel restricted. And that's exactly what happened in this first example. The husband takes on all the responsibility, feels responsible for everything, and sometimes the responsibility can be a little bit overwhelming. And yeah, and she feels restricted in not be able to spend as she wishes, you know, as compared to last time when she's working for herself and earning her own income, right? So the second example is he feels overwhelmed in being, in this second example, he's a very big picture person. He's not detailed at all. He feels overwhelmed with the dollars and cents, in having to balance all the accounts, in having to make sure that whatever comes in matches whatever goes out, and having to take care of the bills and stuff. So the husband on one side feels overwhelmed, and the wife on the other side feels insecure because she's not kept in the loop of the financial situation, right? So that can be another example of couples where issue may arise due to lack of communication, not knowing what's going on, and stuff like that, right? So the third example that I have, which is common again, is that both adults are working. You know, both husband and wife are working, and they actually don't have a joint account. They're actually paying their bills separately. So what happened is he took charge of some of the bills, she took charge of some of the bills, because both are earning income. And over time, he actually, you know, got into some financial situation and is looking to climb out of it. And the wife has no idea. And, you know, the husband does it out of the goodness of his heart because he doesn't want to worry his wife. But the wife, not knowing what's happening, still, you know, operates life as per normal. So these are some of the issues that couples may face when it comes to money management. So then what can they do about it? So I have 3 suggestions. So but at this point, I want to pause a little bit and, you know, to allow you to have time to think about what is going on in your life as well, you know, in your own family situation. It could be you could be married, you could be not, it could be your parents, it could be people around you, but more specifically, specifically to your own life, think about how you can implement what I'm going to share with you next. You know, allow yourself to be open and think of, and I'll share with you next what we're going to talk about. But also think about how it is like, what is your current situation in your own family. So the first thing I'm going to talk about next on what you can do is this. Look at values between husband and wife, right? So what are values? How do you find out the values? Look at what is important to you. And remember the wheel of life that I talked about earlier. There are 6 main sectors. And of course, I'm focusing on the finance sector. But what I want to highlight to you is even within the finance category, there is a lot of different subcategories. So when it comes to money, I know of people who have different values when they are spending money for themselves, and also different values when it comes to family money management, right? So for purpose of today's exercise, you know, when you are working with your husband, when you're working with your wife, with regards to this exercise on values, think about specifically what is important to you when it comes to family finances, right? So I would suggest to do it differently, separately. Husband do husband by himself, and wife do, you know, by the wife for themselves, you know, separately, and then coming together to discuss. So, you know, as every individual is different, you will have different values. So the thing is to look at what is important to you, what values are important to you when it comes to family management, family money management, and then talk about it. So how you do this is, when it comes to values, think about 1 or 2 words. You know, write down 1 or 2 words on what is important to you. For each value, write down 1 to 2 words and list down approximately 5. The top 5 that's most important to you. More than that, and if it's more than that, you have to prioritize which are more important to you, and then focus on the top 5. It's easier to focus on, you know, things. The 5 is a good number. It's easier to focus on 5 so that you can work together. So when you have that, you know, I'm going a little bit fast because I'm conscious of the time. So with that, you know, then you communicate with each other on what are the values, you gain understanding. So the one thing that I want to emphasize here is that, you know, to respect each other's point of view, because everyone is different, different upbringing, different culture, different values, different beliefs. So to keep an open mind when you talk to each other about what is important to each other when it comes to family. There is no, I have to emphasize this, there is no right, there's no wrong when it comes to beliefs and values, right? What is true for the person is true for the person at that particular point in time. So the thing is to communicate and to be in the position where you understand, you know, what is the person's point of view, what are the challenges, what is the situation, what's the aspirations, what's the dream, you know, talk about it. It's a couple, you know, you guys are a couple, talk about it, communicate. You'll be surprised, you know, at how many couples lack this communication part. Well, in many sense of the word, in a relationship, communication is important, but also a lot of couples fail to communicate with regards to money as well, right? Then the next step, what do you do after this? Is to set a common goal, you know, with regards to your money management, because it's a couple, it's a family, it's one family unit. So set a common goal, come to an understand what is important to each other first, then communicate, and then set a common goal for the family. Remember the point A and point B? It's only when you know what is point B and where is it, then you will be in the position to talk about the action plans to get there. You need to set a common goal, right? So with that, think about how you can apply it in your own life. And, you know, I really do hope that, you know, all this questions that I am sharing, or the information that I'm sharing as well, do prompt you to take action, that this not be another webinar, this not be another information that stays in your head. I really hope for there to be action, for there to be things that you can do. So today, right now, as even though, you know, even as I'm talking, decide to take action, no matter how small action, it makes a difference in your life, definitely. So I prepared this template. For those who are online with me on Zoom, I'll be sharing this template with you over email. So for those who, I actually intended to share this on Facebook Live, so I'm not too sure whether it went through, but if this goes through on Facebook Live, if you can private message me your email address, I will send the template to you as well. Essentially, this is a value template where, you know, list down the top 5 values for the male and the female. So you don't necessarily need a template for this, to be very honest. You can just take a piece of paper and, you know, both husband and wife write down your values and then put it together and discuss. But there's also a reason why I come up with a template. The reason is because, oh, I should put in the date section for this. I'll add in the date and I'll send it out. So because when I send it, when you write down your values, it is for you at a particular point in time. For example, if you do it today, it's as at today. 6 months down the road, take it out, discuss. You know, it is an ongoing sheet. It is an ongoing discussion. It is not a one time and you can rely on this for the rest of your life. Our values shift over time according to situation, achievements, accomplishments, and stuff like that. So it is very, it may differ. It may stay the same, of course, but it may differ. So it is a good comparison information for you 6 months down the road to think about what is also a good reflection tool where you can pull this out, you know, from when you did it 6 months ago and how it has changed since then, or where you have progressed. So in the 6 months, how far you have come, what you have done about it, you know, how do you feel 6 months later and stuff like that. So it's always good to keep records of such things. For myself, I do write down my values in different areas of my life as well. I learned this from my trainer. So she shared about this and it really, really makes a lot of sense. So yeah, so it's about doing this and then keeping it as a record for you to refer back when you have time next time, so that you can see how far you've come, right?